The 37 practices of bodhisattvas is like this. The nature of this treatise is divided into preliminary and main sections. Main part shows 3. Preliminary has 7 aspects. First is making the rare and precious human life meaningful. Life matters. Don't let human life be without meaning. It's especially regrettable to even create negative karma. The verse says, having gained the great vessel of precious human life, day and night without laziness, to listen, contemplate and practice is the conduct of a bodhisattva. We are not in the 8 states without leisure, but obtained 8 kinds of leisure. Everyone can talk about this. At the same time, we possess the favorable conditions for practicing the authentic Dharma. We have the 5 personal endowments and the 5 circumstantial endowments that must be present. A human life with these 10 endowments is like a ship. In fact, it's the 8 leisures and 10 endowments. We refer to it as the 18 leisures. This human life is like a great ship on a remarkable journey. Human life, like great ship. This life, from the perspectives of cause, analogy and quantity, is truly difficult to obtain. Once you obtain such a precious and rare human life, that is, when you finally come to possess, then whether it is the pursuit of liberation or attaining omniscient Buddhahood, all these can be accomplished. Human life is important. If we lacked a human birth as animals or even gods, we wouldn't have conditions for the 3 enlightenments. Apart from human birth, there is truly no more excellent form of existence. Indeed. So being born as a human is truly very important. Therefore, having obtained such a rare, precious human life, we must not waste it meaninglessly or thoughtlessly squander it for trivial gains. They truly have absolutely no meaning whatsoever, and in fact they do not carry any significance or purpose at all. Or even if they have a little meaning, in reality it's not significant. Don't waste your time on those things, but work for all sentient beings to cross samsara's ocean day and night, every moment, without the slightest bit of slacking. This is very difficult. Sometimes, whether it's Kenpos or Kenmos in the community, or even others in similar roles, they are diligent for a few days, but after a while, after some time, they start becoming lazy again once more. Persevere day and night, every moment without the slightest bit of slacking. Generally speaking, we feel that having classes is really good. Without classes, we're like wanderers all the time, seeming to have no standards or guidelines at all, not even the most basic ones whatsoever. But once there are classes, I notice that everyone usually wakes up fairly well in the morning, sleeps reasonably well at night, generally, except some are still dreaming while others are turning the Dharma wheel. But this is few. If we approach it with real seriousness, it's okay, as long as we're not afflicted by any truly serious illness in our lives at any point or stage, and no significant major obstacles arise. Indeed, it is good for us to attend one class or just a single session. We are actually truly very fortunate indeed, because many people may want such opportunities, but they lack the necessary circumstances. Everyone should understand that there are many people, like when we previously discussed the Shurangama Sutra, conditions are changing. Whether our own circumstances will change is also uncertain. But no matter what, even if you, for example, study here for 1 month, this is still really very significant. Worldly people too. If you go to another country to study for a month or a year, they'll cherish it. We too should approach our studies with this kind of hope and optimism and responsibility in our study. We shouldn't think, I'll always be here, so it doesn't matter. No, we should persevere steadily before Mahayana spiritual teachers, receiving teachings, reflecting and putting them into practice. Through 4 reasonings, function reasoning, dependence reasoning, reasoning of nature, evidence what we studied before, examining its significance, the meaning of life, and practicing through contemplation, study and reflection. This is how bodhisattvas realize the value of a precious and deeply meaningful human life. Study, contemplate, practice. This is the literal explanation. In the Avatamsaka Sutra, it says, to be reborn as a human is rare, to have pure and perfect leisure is even rarer. Human birth is rare and human life is rarer still. The way of the Bodhisattva states, a precious human life is extremely rare. once obtained, it can fulfill the purpose of life. Precious human life is rare. Actually, this might be Master Rishi's final version. It should be 5 characters, but sometimes Treasure Lamp of Definitive Meaning was originally 7 characters, but now I want to change it to 5. But if, for example, let's say it's actually 5 characters in total, you see, it's sometimes a bit harder to understand, especially for some people, but it really sounds better, just like those of the renowned and celebrated great masters and artists of the past. 7 characters are a bit easier to understand, but not so easy to memorize. And in the way of the Bodhisattva, with this human body raft, one can cross the great ocean of suffering. The letter to a friend also says, an old wooden yoke-hole slowly and gently drifting on the ocean. Meeting a sea turtle is very rare. An animal becoming human is rarer still, so, O king, practice Dharma meaningfully. If one transforms from an animal to a human, is even more difficult. So, King Sudarshana, please take your time and practice well, with care and dedication. Make your human life meaningful. You see, many of Buddha's teachings are, in fact, quoted here. These scriptural proofs from Indian masters, the author is very... I heard he could memorize them all and write them down directly. When he found verse, he could freely use many various scriptural proofs. Masters were like this. They were rich in scriptural knowledge as well. Like people now mention this particular movie or that well-known, much-discussed biography that everyone seems to know about, the so-called precious human life. It has already clearly and completely explained its own nature. Its own nature, the so-called great vessel, and to cross samsara's ocean, show the important role in precious human life. If it's the worldly benefits people crave, or higher rebirth in the human realm and God realm, or the definite goodness of personal liberation, or the supreme definite goodness of omniscient Buddhahood, human divine fortune, all these temporary ultimate fruitions are achieved through the human body. The so-called rare doesn't seem to be in the verse, but he explains it here as well. Rare means from the perspectives of causes, analogies, quantities, from different perspectives. As we can see, this shows that human life is indeed, truly, very hard to obtain. You could say it's as difficult as reaching heaven, this human life. A human life of negative karma isn't special. Maybe it's easy to have, but a truly precious human life is, without a doubt, very rare in this world. Day and night, without slacking, study and practice. This verse line means to realize human life's value, we must follow the Dharma. If we don't practice diligently, then in future lives it will be very hard to get such a human life again. Though this point in the verse, the rare aspect, isn't explicitly stated, but as the way of the Bodhisattva also says, if this life's purpose isn't accomplished, how will future lives gain such perfection? This raft is indeed extremely difficult to obtain once more. Fools, do not allow yourselves to indulge in sleep. Relying on this human body vessel, you absolutely shouldn't sleep in every day. Sleeping 6 hours should basically be enough, max 7 hours, especially now when all kinds of favorable conditions are present. Some of us, those engaged in practice and meditation, I've heard that some people do more practice while sleeping. I hope you reduce this. Look at those who are studying now, reciting in the morning. These are all very diligent efforts. These are joyful things. In debate exams, when I hear some people reciting, it reminds me of the Larunga 20 or 30 years ago, though at our age now, recitation and debate are difficult. But most meaningful time in life is this very experience. Everyone should still be together with so many spiritual friends. This is a joyful thing with many. I see now, as I mentioned to you the other day, how our lamas and nuns are doing. Some people are actually learning quite well now. This includes their various hats, as well as the clothes they wear, even their walking posture. All of it resembles Tibetan nuns and Tibetan lamas. But some people still don't quite look authentic. After all, as you might see, there are still, in fact, some differences. It's acceptable. Actually, everything in the world is just imitation anyway. Everyone is an actor. We play different roles in different places. It's fine. In fact, renunciates are the best kind of actors. I think especially in times like these, when many people perform their roles well, even non-humans can't necessarily tell the difference, especially not easily and particularly at first glance. The truly incomparable Atisha also once said this. This precious human life with its freedoms and advantages is very rare to hard to get. So we diligently and meaningfully engage in practice. The great Geshe Dromtonpa also personally said he's a layperson, but sometimes Geshe, or spiritual friend, a spiritual teacher is called a Geshe. Dromtonpa was called Geshe, but for true Geshes of the Gelug tradition, Dromtonpa wasn't necessarily one, since he was a layperson. So compared to today's Geshes, most Geshes might have different titles than his. So what did he say? He said, this precious human life is extremely rare, even more precious than encountering the Dharma. Do not waste this truly precious, unique and rare human form. Everyone should understand this. Venerable Dromtonpa asked Venerable Gomphawa, he said, do you think about having this human life? How do you contemplate the rarity of human life? Geshe Gunpawa replied, when I think of just how incredibly rare this is, I honestly have absolutely no time to sleep at all. You see, some of these are actually really true. If human life is so precious, he probably couldn't sleep, or sleep very little. Maybe no sleep at all. But certain Geshes like Langri Tangpa really never slept their entire lives. We might have collapsed already after. You wouldn't be able to recover at all, even the next day. He said there was no time to sleep, Geshe Gunpawa. He was truly remarkable indeed. There was also simply no time for leisure or entertainment. No relaxing, peaceful, leisurely outings or truly delightful and wonderfully joyful pastimes such as these. No way. Impossible saying it's Sunday. I definitely must sleep in until noon. If Geshe Gunpawa heard, he would laugh. Human life is precious. What's there to really enjoy about Sunday? We must make use of the value of this human life for genuine practice. His lifelong commitment to this practice and unwavering dedication over the years is also widely known. Throughout his entire life, Geshe Gunpawa mainly meditated on the preciousness of human life. And when he practiced, he would often recite this verse from memory. When one is free and living in favorable conditions, surrounded by comfort and ease, if that person is still unable to maintain self-control and then falling into danger and controlled by others, what cause could lead to liberation? This is from the text known as the Madhyama Kavatara. Let's see if we can do the same together in this situation. This was Geshe Gunpawa. He often recited this verse from the Madhyama Kavatara time and again with deep respect. I've posted on Tibetan Weibo before. It says that when we are free and at ease and all favorable conditions are present, if we don't stay mindful and aware and practice well, once we inevitably fall into danger and ultimately lose our freedom, for example, such as becoming a being in hell or an animal, when we become truly extremely pitiable beings, what conditions could possibly in any way lead to liberation at that time? There would be no way. Right now is truly the best time to enjoy freedom. And if you want to create favorable conditions or any causes, we have such opportunities. So this verse, many Dharma friends have studied this. Rinpoche also often used this particular verse, though Rinpoche didn't recite it daily, but Rinpoche often used this scriptural reference. In the end, after a considerable amount of time, we all became thoroughly and remarkably familiar and comfortable with it, having heard it so often, constantly. So, like Gunpawa, in our Bodhisattva's way of life, each day there are some typical scriptural citations or typical stories to encourage ourselves. It might really be very beneficial for for us. If human life is so precious, and now we are truly free, able to choose our karma, if we're not diligent, once we truly fall into lower realms or become beyond help, what can we do? Like worldly people, when they're free, they don't follow the rules properly, and in the end, when they end up in prison, you have no freedom. If someone wants to save you, no one may have that ability. So everyone should read this verse, just like Gunpowder did. Recite it once in the morning and once in the evening each day. If I'm not diligent now and truly fall, who will save me? This verse is truly, deeply and profoundly meaningful. It is genuinely thought-provoking. I sincerely hope that everyone takes a moment to reflect on this important truth, often puts into practice. Let's stop here for today. Oh, the she I mentioned earlier should specifically mean time in this context. That was just a typo. When free and dwelling in favorable conditions, it should be the she for time. At any time, if we are living in such favorable conditions, but do not in any way control our own mental and intellectual faculties, then once we fall into danger, in such circumstances, how can we attain liberation? This is very important, as you can see, isn't it? Geshe Gunpowder held prayer wheels every day reciting this, I don't know, probably. When Venerable Atisha came, he was very devoted to prayer wheels and making titasas in these respects.
Bandara Badna Sodargye Bandara Badna Sodargye Bandara Badna Sodargye